You're in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. Why you shaking? We're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory. Yeah, we've waited for our time to come, calculated everything we've done, we've upgraded. Now you can't outrun a champion. Now you're facing one. Can you hear them? Yeah, it's all for us. You believe them.
Thank you for allowing us to be part of your family. This is Joe Bloomstrom and Lori Bloomstrom, and behind us here is a picture of our son Paul, who is part of the sim racing family, and it's just so cool that you're allowing us to be a part of this, and we really appreciate you thinking of Paul the way you do.
Just wanted to thank you guys. We are so grateful you're doing this in Paul's honor. He really loves this community, and we are hoping that we can raise some funds for St. Jude's charity. We have a special place in our hearts for St. Jude's. They help kids, and we are really grateful.
Paul loved you guys. We miss him terribly. He was a great son, great guy, and made friends all over the world, including all of you. Thank you so much.
Paul loved to go fast, and I hope you guys do too. Thank you.
year, 400,000 children like Justin develop cancer. If he had been born in the United States, his chances of survival would have been more than 80%. But in his native Ecuador, those chances are much lower. In resource-limited countries, survival rates are below 30%. Where a child lives is the most powerful predictor of whether they will survive cancer. There are many contributing factors to the disparity in pediatric cancer survival rates, including access to life-saving medicines.
So access to quality medications is critical for the success of any programs at the country level. Children cannot survive, cannot have hope without proper access to essential medicines. This has been something that we have identified as a priority.
St. Jude has long been dedicated to improving pediatric health worldwide. Building on our established global ecosystem of collaboration, we are launching a transformative initiative, the Global Platform for Access to Childhood Cancer Medicines.
We are now able to tackle the rare pediatric cancers and make progress against those because we're working as a global community that will allow us to purchase generic drugs and distribute those to low and middle income countries at no cost.
The global platform works by creating a central procurement entity within the World Health Organization, the UNICEF and the Pan American Health Organization. Then the governments engage to develop the production and the supply of these medications. And these are the medications that are considered to be critical and required for all children with cancer.
Today, essential cancer medicines are starting to arrive in 6 countries: Ecuador, Zambia, Jordan, Uzbekistan, Nepal, and Mongolia. These medicines, provided at no cost to local institutions, represent the first step in a long-term effort to reach 50 countries and treat more than 120,000 children in 5 to 7 years.
Danny's dream was that no child die in the dawn of life, and he was thinking perhaps about the United States, but I think in the back of his mind he was always thinking of a global landscape. And I see this as the logical direction for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to go and for the entire field of pediatric oncology.
The Global Platform is more than a lifeline for children like Justin facing cancer. It's a foundation for a future where all children have access to life-saving care. Working together, we are building toward our founder's dream that no child should die in the dawn of life, no matter where they're born.
No worries, Jake. I mean, obviously you haven't, you've raced a 24-hour event this weekend as well, so I did expect to see a little bit of a fallout from some of the racing that was going on this weekend, but we'll just go. All right, so green flag here, 10 minutes. All right, so we've seen a little bit about what St. Jude's is doing there, and you know, they're going way above and beyond the call of duty, so to speak. You know, they're branching out. They're going outside of North America and the United States of America, and they're going more into a global range, right? So I kind of think that it's a fitting project when the sim racing community, for example, comes from all four corners of the world, quote unquote. You know, we race from all over the world together for, you know, a similar cause or a similar feat or a similar purpose. It's only fitting that we try to support that an organization that's trying to give back to four corners of the world, so to speak. I mean, St. Jude's is only starting that process now. Obviously, it's going to be time, and it's going to take resources, and it's going to take a lot of help from the global community to make that happen. But the one thing that we can do to help is share the content, like and share the content. Let's break the YouTube algorithm. Let's continue to force YouTube to push the fundraiser out for us. And the link is pinned in the YouTube chat there as well, like we said, I think a little bit earlier. So take that link, do with it as you please, share it through your own networks. Go check out the fundraiser campaign, donate yourself if you're able, that'd be fantastic. I mean, for such a large project, you really have to sit down in your own bubble and take a look at the people around you and put yourself in that situation. And would you want help from an organization to deal with the treatments and you know, all the transportation and all the costs that's involved with potentially traveling a very long distance to be with your child, to support your child through that treatment? And I think that's the biggest thing that I can say to everybody out there that might be sitting on the fence about donating. Just put yourself in those shoes for 5 minutes. Sit down and really think about how you would feel if you were someone in a financial situation where you cannot afford to be with your child, you cannot afford to properly care for your child's illness. You know, St. Jude steps in and does that for you. And the only reason that St. Jude is able to do that is because of the community donations and the help from, you know, all the big businesses that donate yearly to these organizations that keep them going and keep the research flowing and keep the medicine moving and keep the doctors working, right? So it's important that we continue to support these nonprofit organizations that are truly making a difference in the world. And I do believe that St. Jude's has been and will continue to make a very large impact in the world and continue to make a very big difference in the world. And that's why we're supporting St. Jude's. And I mean, obviously, with the Bloomstrom family involved and this being, you know, very near and dear to their hearts, it's just fitting. You know, it's funny how sometimes things just all kind of fall into place for a reason. A lot of our racers have come from other races. Well, pardon me, I apologize. That came out of nowhere and was very unexpected. It seems like a large part of our field has come from another race this weekend already, so it's going to be a how do they say it, knackered group of racers here this weekend. So we're going to throw in some wet conditions and make things a little bit interesting, but it should be good. Alright, so what we will do here is... Oh, I was just going to double reset the lobby here on JP, so... we'll give him a couple minutes here, and then we're going to do a double lobby reset, and then we'll set the grid, and we'll get to racing. So, at the start of the lobby, there was... the pre-hour lobby setup, so to speak, on the quote-unquote weather pattern, was very spotty. It was, a large precipitation patch, and then it was dry for a bit, and then it was a large precipitation patch, and then it was dry for a bit, and then it was a large precipitation patch, and then it was dry for a bit. And that kind of seems to be very indicative of how the time has been progressing here into the lobby so far. So when I do that double reset in the lobby, that's going to put the conditions exactly right back to where it was when the lobby opened, and that's what the racers' conditions will be dealing with here this weekend. So the reason why we do the double lobby reset is to get back to the original starting conditions from when the lobby was set up, so the racers are getting that proper weather pattern start that is designated for this race this weekend. Now, we are using the dynamic weather. It is still on random. However, with the custom settings, that does take a little bit of the randomness out, kind of forces some of the weather into the race, but it's still not a guaranteed thing. I mean, I can set this thing as R07 or R08 across the board, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to guarantee us a steady flow of rain for 60 minutes. So the game is going to do what the game is going to do based off of how it's coded and built for the weather, and we're going to get a very interesting set of races here this weekend from our Pro-Am, and Am divisions. So again, Nolander is live with our Pro-Am, Am splits here in a combined lobby this week, and that is an absolutely stuffed lobby this weekend. It is a full boat of racers, and should be an interesting race over there as well. Alright, so we are going to do the double lobby reset, and then we are going to set the grid. We are missing a couple of racers here this weekend still, but oof, and look at that rain coming down right now. That is roughly about 37 minutes into the lobby, so that's about the midway point of the race. We should expect to see that. Oh, don't worry. You'll still be getting the similar conditions, I assure you. We're just putting it back to where it was in square one. Alright. So we are going to bring up this guy so everybody can kind of see what the racers are dealing with here today. It is a tough race here today. The lowest range of settings for our racers here today is an R03. Now, R03 does not guarantee rain by any stretch of the imagination, but then we move into a lot of R04 and R05 settings into the middle part of the race, and that's kind of where the more heavier moisture was designed and designated to be in the race here today as well. So with that being said, we should see a hit and miss start and end of the race. Should be a fairly wet middle portion of the race. If everything falls into place properly, that is what we should expect to see from our race here today. So we do have all of the drivers now sitting here. Let's get that grid order set, and it is going to be Doug Barrow sitting on pole position here this weekend, as he had the unfortunate disconnect in last weekend in the racing round. Then it will be JSET, ATB, and Supra. And then it will be Dylan, JP, Misty, and then Sheriff ahead of Roses, because Roses is ahead of Sheriff in points. And that puts our grid in place with, there we go. Double check the grid. Grid is set. Alright, we'll give the racers 2 more minutes here, just so I can do the readies feature. We want to, for this one in particular, we really want to make sure that the racers are ready and on the rigs for race time here. It is fairly important. So it is 3 times tire and 3 times fuel. There is no mandatory tire here in the championship this season. Drivers do need to make sure they have all 5 of the tire combinations available here for this weekend and every weekend of racing as well. So that means that the driver should have racing hards, racing mediums, racing softs available to him, intermediate wet and heavy wet racing tires. We haven't seen a lot of heavy wet conditions here so far this season, but today is a very good possibility that we could see those conditions. So gonna be riding the fine edge here at Suzuka this weekend, and we'll give the racers one more minute and we're gonna send this race off. So again, within our regulations and rules of the championship series, we do a lot up to 15 minutes before or after green flag drop to allow for potential late drivers coming in, or real life circumstances delaying people's work, for example. And I mean, that's just a fail safe to make sure we get as many of our racers in every weekend as we can. Obviously, we don't want our racers to miss a race by 2 minutes and we've just kicked it off and we're not going to restart it. That's uncool. But if you give that extra time allotance, I mean, it kind of takes away any room for discussion at that point if a driver does miss. I mean, we give up to an extra 15 minutes if there's communication in the Discord server where the championship is settled, or in through the live stream chat like Jakey's been doing here to let us know what's going on with him here today. We can just go ahead and start that race, and it is what it is. But if you communicate, we will allot up to 15 minutes for race start. That isn't within our rules and regulations of the championship series. So, and typically we do run a little bit late starting races just because that's the way it goes. We all have real lives and we do this on our free time as a hobby. So let's send it. Are we ready, ladies and gentlemen? Chat, all the beautiful people in Viewerland, let's go racing. Vegas Cup style, baby. Double check the grid before I send it. Sending it. Alright. Don't hesitate to give me some feedback on the audio. If I'm too loud or the game is too loud, if the audio mesh isn't quite balanced, please do let me know. We've had to change our audio setup here this weekend. We've had run into some equipment issues, and we will be switching over to the new PC soon enough. But in the meantime, kick them tires, light them fires. Let's go racing, and it is Suzuka style. So the race does start in some semi-wet conditions. We've got a driver that was in reverse there on start grid, and we're going to make sure that didn't cause anything. It just caused a small accordion effect there, and it's going to be Superboy with a great race start here in the early gate. We're really going to keep a close eye on turns 1 and 2 in the first section of the race here at race start. Due to the wet conditions, we do have red flag protocols in place. And if there was a big incident here between our racers in the first few corners of the race here this morning or this afternoon, we would obviously call that back and we would set the grid and give another crack at it. We do have 2 red flag resets available for our racers in the case that the rain was extremely heavy at the beginning of the race, and most certainly could have caused some complications for our racers at the beginning of the race here. But the track is dry enough here that we have most of our field here on the racing soft tires. It seems like we got a mixture of soft and medium tires in the grid, and oof, a little bit of a wiggle there from J-Set in the Ferrari. So jumping out of the RCZ here and jumping into that Ferrari. So if I'm not mistaken, that is potentially the third car for that championship driver. Now I am going to remind everybody that is racing in the championship series, admin is not tracking your car changes. It is not going to be the admin stuff. It's going to come up to you and give you your bonus points for using 3 different cars and finishing those races with those 3 different cars throughout the championship season. It is up to the racers to come to administration and say, I would like to claim my 10 bonus points for using the 3 cars, and they need to let us know what 3 cars, and then we'll go back to our sheets and make sure that was the case, make sure those races were completed, and then we'll award those bonus points within the point standings on XLP. So it's up to the racers to come and claim their 10 bonus points. And so far this season, we have not had a racer come and claim their 10 bonus points, although we definitely know there's racers out there that have used 3 different cars here this season. Those are not points that are just going to be awarded to you because that is stipulated right in the championship regulations that it is up to the racer to claim that one-time only bonus for the championship season. That bonus is untouchable by drop rounds or anything that may take points points away from our racers at the end of the season. There is 2 drop rounds, meaning that we'll take the worst 2 rounds from our racers and eliminate them on the standings, and it will be essentially an 8-week set of standings and points for our racers. And it's quite interesting right now in the overall standings. Before I factor in drop rounds, as it stands halfway through the season, is currently a Pro-Am driver leading the overall championship as well. So, the points system is doing exactly what I kind of thought it would do in that sense. Now, there is something that the administration staff and the development team is going to be looking at here post round 6 and leading in towards round 8 on a couple of good questions that's been raised by our racers here throughout the championship season about the drop rounds and the point system and the imbalance of points from one track to the other. So there is a discussion that will be happening here over the next 10 days with this team and staff to come up to a fair play solution to ensure that the drop rounds are balanced and fair across the racing championship. Now, again, with something new, when you set up a championship, you have hiccups, and you have things that you haven't thought about. You're going to run into situations actively while championships are running, while you're implementing changes or new features or new things. And the point system is most certainly something that is brand new in the sim racing community on this neck of the woods, 100% of the way for sure. So it's something that is going to need to be refined, it's going to need to be tweaked, and it's going to need to be definitely perfected as time goes on. And this season has already shown us a couple of chinks in the armor, so to speak, in the system. But we do have allowances to make these amendments during championship seasons for the sake of fair play. And this is one of those. This is definitely one of those situations that falls under the regulation for the sake of fair play for our racers. So there will be a serious discussion being had about the point system involving the drop rounds and how that's going to happen. What we may do is there's 2 options on the table here. We can take the lower scoring rounds, like these 2-minute plus racetrack, Spa, Suzuka, St. Kuala, we've seen last week, where you're only getting 25 or 28 laps, and we can just double the points on those rounds, and that brings it up into anywhere between that 40 to 55 point range, which is about what you're going to see on a mid-range track. Or we can just set a base amount of points depending on the track distance, and every racer will start with that base amount of points, and then whatever their lap count is will be added onto that base amount of points as well. So there's a few different options that are on the table currently, and I normally wouldn't openly talk about this during a live stream, but I think for the sake of the championship and the charity foundation and the Bloomston family, I think it's very important to be very open with what's going on in behind the scenes especially. And this is one of those situations where it is going to change standings, the point system, and the way things are sitting right now once we decide how we're going to effectively make that change. And that change will be retroactive right to the beginning of the season, whatever change it is that we decide to ensure the fair play of the drop rounds. Now, with that being said, there's not much we can do about the fact that drivers are missing races, and that is just a 0 point scored round, and that is automatically just going to be a drop round for those racers because there's no points scored there. There's nothing we can do about that. But for the racers that make all 10 racing rounds in the championship season and put all 10 weeks of time in, there is a point of fair play balance that needs to be maintained within the point system there, and that is definitely something that is very validated by the racers' concerns. And we realize that here at the GT45 Gaming admin staff and development team are actively working on a proper solution, but it's not going to happen overnight. We got to make sure that whatever the options on the table are indeed the best of the options and are going to be better for not only the future development of championships, but for the continuation of this championship leading into the finale, right? So, I figured this is something that I'm going to be very open about this season when it comes to some of this stuff, because we, like I said, there's just a lot of parts involved, and I think it's very important to be transparent as a league organizer and a commentator as well, and working with other leagues. The one thing that I really feel that racers find is important is that consistency, right? That professional aspect, and not just shrugging off the generalization of a concern of a group of racers just to stop the conversation. Right? It's genuinely important to us here at GT45 Gaming, and I mean, our championship development is based off of our racing community's feedback from championship season to championship season over the last 4.5 years. I mean, what we do here, how we build these championships, it's all because of our racing community. I mean, everything we've done as far as the rule books goes and how we come up with the ideas and what we think our community is going to like for racing is all based off of feedback from our own racers, our own community within the Discord servers and within the chats as well. I mean, all these suggestions we see in our YouTube chats during the live streams, you know, that these things are documented, you know, they are discussed in postseason meetings in the admin teams and development teams, and, you know, we go through the pro and con list, and it's a yay or nay, you know, is that a good enough idea to seriously think about? Yes, okay, let's put that on the potential list, you know, if not, okay, well, let's throw that on the cold case file list, right, so to speak. So no idea is a bad idea. You know, it all depends on your community and your racers. I mean, if you're not working within what you have available to you as a lead organizer, I mean, it's going to be very hard to continue to grow and maintain grids as an organizer. So it's important to be transparent. It's very important to be professional, and it's important to really have your ducks in a row. I mean, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, and there's always something in loose ends, you know, all these things. But, you know, how you manage those things and how you deal with those things as things progress and the season progresses is really, really important. Alright, recapping the race here as we're just catching up everybody on speed on some of the important details here, what's going on in the championship. And this goes across all divisions too as well. So, you know, all across our 34 registered racers here this season. But it is Doug Barrow in the early race lead here. He is in the Audi R8 Evo racing car here. I mean, this is a 2018 or 2019 edition Audi R8 here in the game. We've got Superboy here from Team Rad. Both first and second place are from Team Rad here as well. He is in that Ferrari 458. He has been in that car for most of the season here, and he seems to really have a fairly good grasp on how that car handles. It's not an easy car to drive, so but if you know how to drive it, it is a very competitive car here in the GT7 platform. That leads us to Dylan 019 right now. He has been finishing pretty much on the podium all season long. There's been one or two races where he just missed it, but definitely giving a good charge here for a triple repeat championship here at GT45 Gaming. He is our current two-time championship winner from our last two official championship seasons here at GT45 Gaming. So he's definitely on a roll here currently right now. We've got R.A. Roses in the GT3 Lamborghini Huracan. This is a 2015 edition GT3 racing car. I mean, it is a blast to drive, very difficult to race, and I mean, it's just a sexy car all around. It doesn't look so good. I mean, I love the Lamborghini. It is definitely one of my personal favorite cars in real life. Definitely one of my favorite GT3 cars here in the game as well. That takes us to JP here. This is the paint guru for Race Asylum. I mean, all these beautiful Race Asylum cars that we're seeing on the racetrack throughout the season are compliments of this man right here, JP. I mean, this guy spends countless hours behind the scenes building, designing, and painting these absolutely gorgeous Race Asylum cars that we see all throughout the sim racing GT7 platform community. And I mean, he does this on his own free will, and he does it because he loves to do it. It's therapeutic for him, and it's much like our leader right now, Doug Barrow, as well. You know, he uses livery design for a therapeutic thing, right? You know, something that you really enjoy, and that artistic part of the game really, you know, locks them in, so to speak. That takes us to RA's ATB here. You know, he's a very long-standing racer here in the GT45 gaming community, and he always seems to find himself in a division where he's just a little bit off the top edge of the pace. But you know, this guy has no quit in him, and he's been racing very well here in the pro division this season. And I know these guys have been stressing and worrying about that a little bit because of some of the guys in the field. But just to see the progression of these racers from one championship to the next, to the next, to the next, it just warms your heart and makes you smile. And ATV's one of those drivers. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of time to get that seat time in and really properly prepare for these races, and he still does very well. You know, as a stay-at-home parent, it makes it hard to find time, obviously, to get in the rig and get the proper amount of practice time in. But he's out there, and he just does not give up no matter what happens. You know, he's a staple here in the GT45 gaming community, and here he is again supporting the Paul Booth from St. Jude's Childrens Research Hospital effort again this season. I mean, he has not missed a championship season, I think, since our inception here. Oh my, J-Set there just got it a little bit sideways coming out of the corner there, and then one of the slowest spins in the history of spins here at GT7 for J-Set, and then teammate Sheriff Doofy just a little further up the road there, having a similar issue here as the rain is starting to set in fairly good on the racetrack here, and that has set back Sheriff Doofy and J-Set a little bit on the field. But now the rain's starting to kick in, and boy, all the drivers are shooting wide here as we head through one 35R, and then a really bold move there coming from Superboy to try and get the position back from Dylan there. And Dylan was just cool, calm, collected, and Superboy just cooked it coming into the braking zone. And on those racing slick tires, ultimately paid a pretty tough price for that. So he is in pit lane. He's picked up some damage there. The damage will go away. And some drivers are taking the chance here. ATB is going to stick it out here on the racing mediums, and so is 10 Tenths Devious. So decisions being made on the racetrack. Oh my. You see the majority of the field pit in front of you to come into pit lane and take intermediate racing tires, and then you see a couple of drivers absolutely say, yeah, you know what, we're going to try and tough it out. But we do have the yellow flag flashing here in front of Dylan as he comes out of pit lane, and oh my, it is 10 Tenths Devious now trying to get that car back underneath her, and it looks like ATV there also having a little bit of a struggle heading into turns 1 and 2. There's just not enough grip to probably get the car slowed down and make the double hairpin corner here. We've got J-Set trying to get back on track as safely as possible. He's in a very tricky situation here in the S's, but does a pretty good job at being aware where everybody is, and boy, the race is getting a little bit messy here as the drivers are now trying to navigate the rain. So we don't need to declare a wet race here this championship season. The bar has hit that 33% mark, but there is no tire mandate this season, and this is a designated wet race here essentially as well. So it was planned to be rainy here at Suzuka this weekend, and GT7 is not disappointing. So it has definitely turned the race a little upside down, and the rain typically does that. And that's the unfortunate reality of the dynamic weather. You never really know what it's going to produce for you. You just have a rough idea what you're going to get on the racetrack. You're still kind of making those calls on the fly as you get into the race, but it has created an absolutely crazy tight mid-pack here in behind our top 3 right now. So Dylan is in the lead. ATB has managed to tough it through here and stay in second place. Superboy has managed to hold a podium position after his mistake leading into the Casio Triangle. That'll leave JP here in 4th place, so that he did stop and of course take a set of intermediate tires there. We got Doug Barrow, who is still on racing slick tires. We've got Sheriff Doofy, who's also still on the slicks, and Rose is also on the slicks. Mysterious has remained on the slick tires there and has recovered from the turn 1, turn 2 spin. Oh my. We've got Jason. Potential issue there for a second? I'm not sure. Mysterious went to move in front of him there, and let's actually see if we can just get a second look at that. I feel like there might have been a potential equipment issue there, or we just didn't quite catch what happened there. But Jay said checking up really, really hard there, and not sure if that was just again an equipment malfunction for the time being, and he had to put it in auto drive for a moment or what that was. But who knows, right? I mean, we're racing and things are happening in the background behind us too as well. You know, maybe one of his cats jumped on something that they shouldn't have, and he had to take that moment to, get the cat off of whatever it was, and in that exact moment, it's, he pushed on the brake pedal and slowed the car down. I mean, who knows what happened. We'll find out later. Alright, so it is Dylan in first place. It's Super here in second position. He has managed to get around ATB here. Now, obviously, there is a tire difference here. So with that being said, that was a fairly short pit stop for the tire change over here for the racers at Suzuka today. So I think the pit loss is not too significant here for those pit stops. However, a lot of the racers that jumped into pit lane did not opt for the intermediate racing tires. So that is also an interesting strategy call as well here. So Ferrari again, a very tough car to manage, and if you're not familiar with the Ferrari, it does absolutely love that car. By the way, it has a couple of, it's a double-edged sword here right now. You know what, I'm actually going to talk about something here. We just took part in a 24-hour race over the weekend here. We weren't racing this weekend like we were last weekend, but we were in this past Saturday like it was for us last weekend with the St. Jude's fundraising event, which we did raise some more money towards. So thank you to the community for coming out, showing support to 10 Tents during our 24 hours of St. Jude's IRO race. And, we went above and beyond. We did the broadcast for them, everything over there too, to help Olander Gaming and Team Rad. So, it really turned out to be a great idea, and it'll help us bump up that number a little bit towards the fundraising goal as well. So I just want to say thank you to the Winter Circle community. It all starts with the Winter Circle community. You guys are the gals, are the ones that are first in the stream all the time, first to like share the content out, so it all starts with you. So I do appreciate that. But, the small wins, a little bit of money raised towards that $2,500 goal last weekend from 10 Tents and Team Rad, and small wins count. So we are still a long ways away from that goal, so we really do need to make sure we're getting the content out there. As I transition from my old streaming setup to the new streaming setup, we do officially have the new PC here now. We just had a complication setting it up and realized that we were having a capture card issue in the process of doing the changeover yesterday. It created a little bit of a massive problem, and thankfully TDC Gaming came in behind the scenes and came up with a good solution. We were able to get the stream back live again. So if you haven't noticed, for our regular viewers here, the audio is a lot different, and that is the big change. We had to reroute how the audio is being transferred through the stream, because that was a portion of the capture card that all of a sudden just stopped working. So we've had to channel things a little bit differently. Now it's going to be something that is continuing a while to get used to, because there's a few different parts on how all of it works, and now how I need to transfer audio in certain situations. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me here, but we're excited. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to some great content here in GT45 Gaming outside of what we're doing on the Vegas Cup Series. This is my pride and joy. This is my baby this 2025 season. We've done a lot. We've accomplished a lot. GT45 racing as a group as well. But the big one here for us this season is this championship right here, the Vegas Cup Series. It's been 18 months in the making, and thank you to the racers. They're coming out and keeping all these as full as they can. It's a tough time of year. We have Thanksgiving in Canada that has gone past. We have Thanksgiving approaching in the United States of America, and we also have the Christmas holiday season approaching right at the end of the season as well. Plus all these other huge championships that have been going on in the background that are just starting to finish up now as well. So the racers are spread thin right now, that's for sure. And I just really appreciate the Winter Circle community and our racers, returning and new, for showing up and putting on a great show for us every season. I mean, we're only halfway through the season here. It's been some tough racing, some good racing, and this race is no exception. I mean, it is growing very close here. Roses is currently in the lead with a half-second gap over ATB. ATB is currently sitting in second place here this season. We got Sheriff Doofy now up into third position with Doug Barrow in fourth place. We've got 10 Tenths Miss Stevie's back up in P5. J-Set in sixth place, being challenged by Dylan here right now, and Dylan is going to get the job done there over J-Set. Good clean pass there in the hairpin corner right there between these two. Great little battle, and let's go check it out here again. Oh, that was not long enough. Let's go for the longer version of the replay here. Alright, I mean, it was just a very simple setup. Dylan got a great run under braking there. He got a good push into the inside part of the corner, and that allowed him to get a pretty good run and get the power down on the exit of the hairpin there. There was room there for him to take that inside line. Jay was well aware he was there, and a nice, good, hard, clean battle between Dylan and Jay set there for 6th and 7th place. So there's definitely a tire difference between the two drivers there as well, and Jay is driving absolutely doors off of that Ferrari right now. JP here just after a pit stop, currently in 9th place. So we're on varying pit strategies here. The rain is going to continue to change that up for the racers. Now, if you remember correctly, about the 37-minute mark is when the rain really started to hammer down on the racetrack. We were roughly about 15 minutes away from that mark in the race, so do suspect to see a very similar thing happen within the next 15 minutes here. So basically, by the time that these drivers get near the end of the tire life on these tires that they're currently at, right around where they're thinking about that next pit window is going to be, is probably about the time that weather is really going to start to change here on the racetrack, and then that again change the way that this race unfolds. Racers that excel in the wet may start to move up the field quickly, and the racers that struggle in the wet may start to drop down the field a little bit here as well. Some racers are coming off of several hours of racing over the last 36 hours this weekend as well. Tired, exhausted, they've traveled, and dedicated. I mean, seriously, we could have a 6-car grid today here with all the things that have been happening leading up into the Vegas Cup Round 6, with all the championships that we're wrapping up and ongoing leading into our Round 6 event here. We very easily get a 6 or 7-car grid this weekend. I mean, so kudos to the racers. It's a way of life. Sim racing. It's you build friendships, you build bonds, you build a family in the sim racing community, and that's what keeps the racers so dedicated and always coming back. And I know I'm very appreciative of it because I don't like to broadcast small grids, right? 8-9 car grid is kind of the limit where I'm at, and we're right on that cusp here. But this is a different kind of series. We're broadcasting as usual. We have 3 cars on the racetrack. It doesn't matter if we have 30 or 3 cars on the racetrack. At the end of the day, what matters is the end result for St. Judes Childrens Research Hospital in honor of Paul Bloomstrom here this season. And we're going to be pushing that hard here over the next 6 weeks remaining into the 2025 season. Also, we will be starting to talk about the All-Star race here as an admin and development team as well. We've already got a fairly solid planted idea in place for the All-Star race between myself and the Lander Gaming. So it's just a matter of now taking that firmly planted idea and developing it into that last fundraising effort for St. Judes here in the 2025 season, which will be held in early 2026. And normally we take top 5 drivers from each division and we put them on the track together, and we do have the numbers to essentially support that here this season. We may change the numbers slightly up depending on the number of racers in each of the divisions here. We may go 6 pro-ams and take 3 of the AMs. I haven't quite decided how that part of it's going to go yet, but we do take bare minimum the top 3 finishers in each of our divisions to complete the All-Star race. So sure that the track is updated. Alright, we have a battle brewing here. I did not mean to hit the button there. Doug Barrow is applying some pressure to Sheriff Doofy here. The gap is, well, I mean, they were literally nose to tail there for a moment. We've seen a little wiggle coming from Doug there as he was working the way through Spoon Curve there, and it cost him a little bit of time. I think he's going to serve a penalty there now, so ATB is going to get that outside charge through 135R, and easily doable there as you can go side by side through 135R. It is a skilled pass, and you can see there ATB hangs it on the outside quite well. There's lots of respect given there by Doug Barrow, and ATB is going to edge that position out ahead of Doug Barrow. So boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes on ATB here today, because this boy is putting on a show here. This boy, he is the hardest fighting racer here so far on the racetrack today. No questions about. He's in that active battle for 3rd place again with Doug Barrow here as we head into turns 1 and 2. And he has to check himself up just a tiny little bit as Doug Barrow gets up the inside and does get the position away from him there. He got a good run through 1 and 2 there, and almost lost it there as he was exiting out of turn 2 heading into the S's there. So that's what happens when you gotta throw yourself out of the rhythm a little bit. And you can see the edges of the racetrack are still a little bit greasy there as well. You can see a little bit of water kick up from the back out Miss Davies' Porsche when she dipped that right rear just over the track edge of the grass there. So it's still very wet on the outside edges of the racetrack. The racers need to be aware of that and be careful where and when they're on the curbs here right now on these slick tires. There's still obviously cool water on the outside edge of the track, and I mean we're about 10 minutes away from when we've seen that big burst of rain coming in before we started the race and reset the lobby here. So I do suspect we should see a very similar fashion here in the race as well. There are consistencies within the game, that much is for sure. And if you actually have a lobby open, say you've got a 40-minute race, and you open that lobby 48 minutes prior to the race, and you just watch that weather pattern 40 minutes through that whole 40-minute duration, you get a double reset lobby like I did there, and that will put it right back to when you open that lobby up. Exactly that same weather pattern essentially throughout the next 40 minutes in the race time. So what we saw for the first 37 minutes while the official lobby was set up and open for pre-practice with double reset is what we should expect to see in real time here racing now as well. And we do that double reset because that's the proper way to reset to original condition. And I mean, that's the point. The race will practice for those conditions, and regardless of the randomness in the sense of in the settings, obviously do change how much moisture does fall on the racetrack to some extent or another. But I gotta tell you, for the amount of heavy rain settings that we have in place here for this race, we are very disappointed with the amount of moisture. This is supposed to be a wet race, and it's been fairly dry here so far today, so that's a little annoying. But probably okay for the racers. Suzuka's a tough racetrack, even on the best of days. In the best of conditions, it's really hard to get the majority of your racing field excited about Suzuka. It is a very grueling, difficult racetrack to get right, and every tiny little mistake costs you 2-3 tenths on the racetrack. It's just a small mistake. Larger mistakes cost you seconds, if not minutes. So I mean, it is a very tough track. Like I said, in good optimal conditions. Now you put some completely unknown conditions into play in the round, and this is the dynamic weather in GT7 coating. This is a stressful race for these drivers, without a question. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and wow, I gotta tell you, this may very well be the last stream we ever see from the Asus gaming laptop here. We're going to give our very first computer for the page a rest, a break in its duties here, so I'm really excited about that. It is something that was really needed. And on that topic, I want to thank the Winner's Circle community, the new build for the streaming PC. So we did do a custom build, so we took an older model machine with some fairly decent parts that are in it still, and we built off that platform. So we upgraded a few different things within the machine to make sure that it had everything we need for the future upgrading base for within the machine. There will be some changes we will need to make in the machine as time goes on, but now with the actual home PC setup, gaming PC setup, however you want to call it, it does allow us to fairly easily make those changes, and all we have to do is just order the parts as we need to want to make those changes, right? So now we're just playing the computer market, waiting for things to get into the right price range. Slowly but surely making those swap outs and changes as time goes on. So I'd like to say thank you to a member in the community there who took on the build. He's a local guy here from where I live in the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia, Canada. And if you're in the Canadian region, even as far as that goes, definitely willing to ship as well. And you need a custom PC build, you might have a little bit of a budget as well. This guy was really easy to communicate with. He was very thorough, kept you in the loop all the way through the process. And as I was doing the troubleshooting the last couple of days, because I'm just a computer noob nowadays, he has taken that time out of his day after doing his job already and building the computer and providing me with what I've asked for. Still took the time to do a little bit of tech support and help me out a little bit here and there with some of the things that were going on. And we finally came to the conclusion that it was our capture card that it was just starting to fail, and now that we kind of know what's going on with the stream setup system, then we can now go back to the new PC and transition from old to new. So I'm excited about it. The new PC runs really great, and from what I can tell on the streaming software, without dry running it from the new PC, I mean, everything moves very fluidly and flawlessly and without delay. So the content should get back to a standard that I am happy with, and my admin team is happy with. I mean, I guess as creators, we start to create a standard for our page, what we expect our streams to look like and be able to do. And after 5 years of broadcasting and commentating and doing stuff like this, we've kind of done exactly that. We've kind of somewhat set a pretty good standard for what we expect to see on the GT45 gaming live stream. So as you set those standards, you got to make sure that you've got the equipment to maintain those standards. And unfortunately, our equipment has been slowly but surely diminishing those standards a little bit with the live stream, just technical issues, lagging, freezing moments, media not playing properly on the stream anymore. There's a lot of factors that really do hurt the overall effect of the hour and a half long stream in this case. So it's going to be nice to be on a nice efficient machine again, and one that's up to date and up to par and up to snuff. And not only does it allow us to continue to maintain standard that we are already kind of providing here on the page. It allows us to take that standard up to a new level in the future. So excited about it, and it may not happen today, as I've been up for about 31 or 32 hours straight or something like that. Now I was also involved in that 24-hour race this weekend, so as a broadcaster, I've been up since the beginning of the race on Saturday morning and did not even bother going to sleep after the race. So we may not want to tackle that today and let our brain be refreshed to tackle that tomorrow. However, I do have some NASCAR content I would love to get out to everybody tomorrow here at GT45 Gaming as well. So we'll see how everything goes here. We'll see how we're doing after post-broadcast and once all the excitement settles down and all the post-race stuff settles down. Our duties are done for the day. The brain may feel very differently at that point and be like, yeah, I'm tired, dude. I don't want it. Right? So we'll have to wait and see. I love the Woody Woodpecker Ferrari, by the way. Huge fan. Absolute huge fan. That's old school Woody Woodpecker too, man. That's like, 1970s, 1980s Woody Woodpecker on the side of the Ferrari from TTJ. So let's take a little peek at deliveries here. Nearing that potential blip of rain that we've seen in the lobby here. We do have roses with that just beautiful pink, purple, and white Lamborghini here, provided by Race Asylum. I mean, it doesn't have any fancy retro cartoon images or anything on it, but what it does have is absolutely beautiful colors on it. And boy, Rose is coasting into pit lane here. It has that rain starts to slowly drop here on the racetrack. So Dylan continues around the racetrack. We have Supra. What is he going to do here as he comes around the Casio Triangle? Is he going to set up for a pit lane entry here? Doesn't appear that way, but he does. It's hard to tell depending on the camera going into that corner. We got JP, Sheriff, and Doug Burrow and ATV all nipping tucked together here in the mid-pack. And JP is going to continue around. Sheriff is going to continue around. It looks like Doug Burrow is also going to continue around. So is ATV. So Miss Davis is just fresh out of a pit stop here as well. And as she continues to come around, she can see that big pack in front here. And JSET also off a fresh pit stop here. Has had a couple of unfortunate moments on the racetrack here this weekend, but that's the way it goes. Ferrari's tough car to drive. I mean, he's doing much better in that car than I would be. Me and the Ferrari just don't seem to get along. I cannot drive that Group 3 Ferrari for the life of me. Don't know why. It's just something I haven't figured out about that car yet, but I cannot drive that car. So kudos to those in the Ferrari, because I cannot drive it. Alright, so rain is slowly starting to drop here as we're on board here with JP now. And we are new race leader here, Dylan, now. And you can see the rain has just started pounding down on the racetrack. Just for the record, we're at the 35.5-minute mark of the race here. And that heavy rain is starting to, or that heavy section of rain cloud anyways, is starting to really make the racetrack fairly wet here. We are still in the range of racing slick conditions, but it is you have to be very careful raining slick conditions here. So as the race leader comes through with a 23-second lead over Roses and JP here, it's going to be interesting to see if he can push this car around for another 24 minutes as well, or if he's going to have to make another stop. Roses, who has made a final pit stop here, looks like he should be good to go to the end of the race at this point. Again, 22 seconds here that he does need to make up. So we got different tires being used here today. We've got different strategies being used here today. And in amongst all that, we've got this annoyance of Mother Nature changing things up a little bit here on our races as well. So this is what it's all about. I mean, this is racing. When we talk about simulating a race and making it look as realistic as possible, this was a designed wet race. I mean, this was supposed to be just a rain race for 60 minutes to really showcase that the skill and the ability of our racers here in the championship season, and also for Paul. I mean, Paul loved crazy race setups. I mean, nothing better than a wet Suzuka race. It was one of the most difficult wet races in the game, in my opinion, as far as how hard it can rain here and how slippery the racetrack gets when it does rain here. So that is due to it being fairly flat in a lot of the sections. Oh boy! And just as we say that, Doug Burrow loses the back end of his Audi R8 here. He does have to let ATV get through. We've got Sheriff spun around here now as well, as more cars are trying to navigate through. Miss Devious is trying to tread around cautiously, getting through the spun out cars, and also finds herself now spinning out. We got Roses here sliding sideways here through the S's, and oh man, this is just an absolute mess right now, as a lot of these drivers are out here on these racing slicks, and it is pouring on the racetrack. Jason in a perfect position here. He's right there on pit lane. He's not dealing with all the woes and struggles that all these other racers are dealing with, and he is the first racer out to get some wet tires on his racing car. That could be huge for 1010's J-Set sitting here in 9th place, because all the other racers currently right now on these racing slicks are absolutely fighting for their race cars' lives right now. Our round 6 race, ladies and gentlemen, has just got turned upside down. So let's see how this all plays out. Oof, big strategy, all these racers coming into pit lane, taking these racing slick tires. Roses sliding off the edge, and these MR cars are fantastic in the rain, but the downside to these MR cars is when you start to get them not moving in the right direction in the rain. We see exactly what we see. The lower the RPMs get in these mid-engine cars, the harder it does get to also keep them underneath you. The MR cars like throttle input to keep them stable underneath you. And in these wet conditions on racing slick tires, throttle control mid-corner is not exactly an easy thing to do and keep the car underneath you. It can create the issue, right? So, I mean, these drivers are absolutely up against it right now, and boy, has that absolutely turned their race from ooh, it looks like it's spacing out to, oh boy, things are going to get interesting here. And I mean, forced acceleration, having to suffer a penalty here in these wet conditions could also cause a spin in these racing cars as well. So now it's Roses here in 4th place. We got 1010's Miss Devious here in 5th place. We got JP up into P6. That has J-Set now in 7th place and 6.3 seconds in behind JP. I mean, J-Set's flying right now. He's already picked up 2 positions. 30 seconds behind the field, remember. When this rain shower started out, we got ATV in trouble here and starting to fall back on the field here as well, and big calls at the right time can really change the way that our race shapes up. And I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out here for the races, but right now it's Supra in the race lead, 3.9 seconds over Dylan here in McLaren in 2nd place. That puts Roses out in 3rd position, and he's going to opt to continue to try and tough this out here on these racing slick tires. He is a brave man. 1010's Miss Devious is also trying to do the same thing. J-Set here on the intermediates is just gobbling these positions up right now. These drivers are struggling to find grip and traction and lap times here around the racetrack. J-Set from dead last place in 30 seconds and behind, now up into P5, hunting down P4. Ooh, decisions and timing sometimes can really change a race, and right now everything is on J-Set's side here as we transition in, but you can see that shower has now subsided here, and the track is just now starting to soak up that water that just got dumped on it. So the bigger question is how long does the racetrack stay wet? Is there more weather coming in behind this system? And how's that going to change up the race now? So 3.3 second gap between our current race leader Supra and Dylan, and then there's 37 seconds to 3rd place is Roses here, who is now under fire from 1010's J-Set, who is going to now scoop up 3rd place there. So J-Set is on a tear right now with those intermediate racing tires. And you see Roses have another braking moment there. Miss Devious is just trying to survive here, and the rain starts coming back down on the racetrack. At what point are the racers going to give in here and get into pit lane and get on those intermediate tires? We'll have to wait and see, but boy, 2 of our VR drivers also not able to necessarily watch the radar, so they're definitely relying on communication, I think, from either spotters or teammates in the race potentially, or in maybe a chat that might be going on in the background. We're not 100% sure. Some racers like to be in quiet, close quarters in their own bubble, and some racers like to noise and chatting behind them, right? So, but it is Superboy here currently in the race lead, 2.8 seconds ahead of Dylan. Dylan has the big gap here over TT. J-Set. It's going to be hard for J-Set to really close chunks out of that gap, as obviously those 2 drivers have opted to get onto the intermediate wet tires. Now we still have plenty of drivers out on these slicks, and I mean, you tip your hat, because this is not an easy task on the racing slicks, but they also know that at some point the track is probably going to start to dry out, and that means those racers on the intermediate tires are eventually going to have to come into pit lane and swap out those tires again. So multiple pit stops coming here from round number 6 of the Vegas Cup Series, and boy, oh boy, I tell you what a juicy little race we've got ourselves going on here this weekend. Pit calls, pit strategies, and the randomness of the weather has shaken it up here in the pro lobby. Very unpredictable race here so far today. The only prediction was about that 37-minute mark. We figured we'd start to see that really good dump of rain, and it did not disappoint. So we got our wet race at the sides here, and it's making an interesting one. JP's finally bringing it in. He's had enough. He's going to get onto the intermediate tire here. Rose is still hanging on into P4 here. Absolutely struggling to keep that Lamborghini underneath him here right now. We got 10-10 Mischievous also still toughing it out on the racing slicks here in these conditions. We got Doug Barrow here also toughing it out in the racing condition here, but he did just have that position nabbed up by Sheriff Doofy, who's now on the intermediate tire, and he should be fairly quickly closing in on the back door of 10-10 Mischievous there as well. So intermediate tires are definitely showing prowess, and just as we say that, unfortunately for Ms. Devious there, she has a spin on the racetrack, as again the cars are just losing that grip, and with these MR cars, when they lose that grip, the back ends just go, and once the back end goes, you're really praying that you just keep it out of the wall and they keep it damage free. At that point, you're trying to just collect it up and get it moving forward as quickly as possible at that point. So we're going to start seeing blue flag situations here now, as we have drivers on wet tires, drivers on dry tires, in wet conditions, and our race leaders are starting to close in on ATB here right now, who is one of those drivers that is currently on a racing slick tire. Now, with that being said, you can see the track is starting to show a drier line there, and that's unfortunate there that they caught up with ATB right there, because I mean the driver in the wet tire should have probably went out into the wet part of the racetrack and left the driver on the dry tire on the drier part of the racetrack, in my opinion. But I mean, at the closing speeds right now, the difference of tire combinations, track conditions, is really hard to navigate that in such a short amount of time at the same time. So I'm not saying anybody was right or wrong there. I'm just stating that was a tough situation, and it's unfortunate that ATB had to take the car out into the wet line in order to navigate the blue flag situation. So I really hope that the split two race is going quite as chaotic and crazy, and I hope the winner has a lot of great action happening right now on the racetrack. He's got a 15-car lobby with the Pro-Ams and the AMs smashed together here this weekend. We have one of our host commentators ill this morning, so thankfully for us, we had the right amount of numbers to support that merged lobby for our Pro-Ams and AMs today here, and that was probably going to be the end result either way, because Fast Ginger was scheduled to take our split one broadcast for us here today, so we can get that new PC setup started. But again, Fast Ginger not feeling well here this morning, so we're thinking of you, buddy, and definitely hope you feel better soon. We should see Fast Ginger back next week. So there is the potential that we are going to see that Pro-Am and lobby joined up almost on a permanent level here for the remainder of the season, as we approach our round 7 Dragon Trail Gardens race next weekend here. That is also the cutoff for our registration for the championship at that point. So at the end of round 7 is when we are cutting the registration off officially here for the Vegas Cup Championship Series, and the reason for that is we don't want to have the final 3 races of the championship season interrupted by a new racer coming in and just getting into the rhythm and the flow of this championship series of the division. There's prizes on the line this season for our racers and our champions as well, so we want to make sure again that fair play is held tight. So at the end of round 7, we shut down registration. We're not accepting new racers at that point, and our grids are our grids, our driver numbers are our driver numbers, and they will finish off our season. And this is just something we've learned over the years of doing championship seasons, that is a very strong approach. Obviously, you want to leave registration open throughout the championship season because there's racers sitting on the fence. Sometimes they want to see a couple of rounds broadcast first. They're going to decide they're going to jump in and try their luck, you know. So you have to leave registration open throughout, the first half of the season at least, to allow for racers that are sitting on the fence to make that decision, right? And in the case of this championship where you have 2 drop rounds, you still have a fighting chance even if you come in a couple of weeks weeks late into the season and go through the process of the registered division racing, right? But it just means you have to have a good solid 8 runs in that point run because your 2 drop rounds are going to be the 2 rounds essentially that you work there for, so you're already burned up those drop rounds. But it does allow that, but we also want to make sure that the integrity of the championship remains at the end of the season, and the drivers that are deadlocked in those championship battles are as unaffected as possible by, like I said, just racers coming in and just getting into the flow of the season, the rules and what's happening off the racetrack there. And Jay just slightly overshoots his braking point right there. In third place as he's heading into the hairpin, but I mean he has a decent little gap there, and oh boy, Sheriff Doofy getting it a little bit wrong there as he was trying to just get his line around there. He ate a little bit of that curb there, and the curb spit him up and shoot him out, threw him off the racetrack there, so that allows Roses actually to move back up into P4, and now the drivers that are on the racing slick tires are kind of back up in the maybe it's the playing field right now between the 2 tires. There's still some wet areas of the racetrack here. So again, we see Supra on the defensive here as Dylan continues to apply the pressure here to try and get that race lead away from him here. And we have to be careful here. This is a difficult racetrack, so we do allow one decision on what side of the racetrack you take on the exit of the corner, and then we allow you one move towards the braking zone. But we definitely don't like to see movement under braking, and we don't like to see multiple moves to defend into a corner either. Now, I'm not saying anybody's doing that, we're just throwing it out there because defensive driving is definitely a racing skill, and there's a right way and a wrong way to defend against another racer that's attacking, and Supra's pretty good at defending. I mean, it's all about car placement when you're defending for a position, but we get excited sometimes when we do the battle, and sometimes we make an extra movement or two, and that can cause us a little bit of issue with the steering officials and behind the scenes. We definitely don't like to see multiple movements leading into a corner. We consider that blocking, legal defending, and it actually comes with quite a heavy penalty as well. So it's definitely not something you want to be accused of. No, we're not accusing anybody of that, but we also like to dig into the rule book a little bit too live on the stream, and throw pieces and bits and rules of situations kind of occur on the racetrack live too, because that also helps the racers that might be thinking about racing in the future in the GT45 game. It also help them to start to understand some of the fundamentals of the rule book. The rule book is massively extensive here at GT45 Gaming. Our online league regulations, we call it OLR. It's literally housed on the 1010's sim racing team's website because it's so large that we need a separate space for it. It's too large for the Discord server. So we provide that through the 1010 sim racing website. We have a yellow flag waving in front of our race leaders here, so somebody in trouble either in the Castle Triangle or to the start finish line here. Oh, and it was 1010's Stevie there who was in trouble there, coming out of the Castle Triangle, perhaps it looked like there, and just trying to get away out of this lead car battle here right now. So highly unfortunate for 1010's Stevie's. But again, the track is still drying, so at some point we're going to see that the advantage change back over to the racing slick tire. We are starting to see that intermediate tire struggle here now as there's a very defined dry line on the racetrack. But for the racers that decide to stick it out on the slicks, I mean, it is a very defined line. You kind of need to stick to that line right now, and it's hard as a racer. You have your curves that you want to roll over that, maximize your time and your angle, and it's hard to do that in these wet conditions. But boy, this battle for the race lead is so kind of good, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Dylan being patient there, taking advantage of an opening coming out of the exit of the S's there. Dylan gets the job done over Superboy here, and now are we going to see the defense here as we head into Degners 1 and 2? That is the bigger question. No, Dylan is going to hold the charge off for the time being. We are going to sit with this for a minute. We do have that replay tag, so we should be able to see that move again here. We just want to see if there's going to be a offensive attack here coming from Supra, and at the moment there isn't, so let's go take another look at that pass here from Dylan. So drivers are there, 3S's here, and the Supra is in that defensive line. Now with that being said, that forces him on the outside part of the exit coming out of the S's, and that opens up that inside track for Dylan, and Dylan drove that McLaren right through that big garage door that was left open there by Supra. And again, defending is a skill in racing, and when you're playing defense, it does compromise entry and exits in and out of corners, and in that case, that's exactly what happened. He took a much shorter angle going into the final part of the S's there to try and make sure that Dylan can get the run on him heading up into the next straight line section. And unfortunately for him, they're forced to go wide. Dylan got a good tight run and a proper angle out of that final corner and got the power down and got the job done. So Dylan now in the lead of this race. Super here in second place, and still 8 minutes left on the clock, so we are going to see Super come into pit lane here. J-Set in third position here, and it is 46 seconds to Super Boy. That gap is going to close up a little bit here now with that pit stop being made by Super. Roses is 39 seconds behind J-Set as the track starts to dry out. Again, the favorite starts to lean back in towards the drivers that toughed it out in those crazy conditions on the racing slick tires. It may not have worked out to the best of their advantages here currently as it sits on the race with 8 minutes or 7.5 minutes remaining, but I tip my hat off to the drivers that absolutely toughed out very tough conditions out on the racing slicks, because I mean, that was not an easy task. Quite down here in 9th place, one of those drivers that really toughed it out, and it didn't work out for him, but he's still out there. And now that we have the intermediate tire runners mixed in with our soft and medium tire runners and a fairly significant dry line on the racetrack at this point. Now we should start to see our medium and soft tire runners start to close back in on the medium tire guys. So 10 Devious is one of those drivers that's starting to close in on Dylan here, our race leader. Dylan is on that intermediate wet tire there, and you can see, I believe JP is, as well as he's looking for some cooler section of the racetrack to put the car in. What we're seeing there is the drivers on the intermediate tires trying to pull those tires down to give them their grip level that they need, because now as these intermediates are running on a drier pavement, they are essentially like driving a racing soft on wet condition, right? It's an exact reverse effect. You can see here now as JP is trying to keep his tires cool. Ms. Davies is tucked in behind Dylan here. She has to be patient because she knows JP's right there, and is she going to make a move? Seems like she's just going to sit in behind Dylan here and give him a little push up the straight in 35R there, and move a little bit of overspeed there, and he's just on the edge. Our home track officials don't give him a penalty there, as he was just getting a nice little assist there from Ms. Davies leading into the corner, but that doesn't essentially open up the hole for her there to get around Dylan there too, so maybe a little strategic push there as well. Leading in 135R, trying to make sure that there was an opening on the inside so she could utilize what she's got underneath the tires here right now. So things are about to change again here. You can see JP is trying to close in on Dylan here. ATB's in 9th position, so let's get back up front here again. It is Dylan leading the charge here, and he's got 15.5 seconds now over Superboy. Superboy has 49 seconds over 1010's J-Set, who did make a pit stop there to change over from the tires as well. That was an interesting call right there. Roses is now 13 seconds in behind and trying to close in. That leaves Doug Bro 18 seconds in behind, with Sheriff Doofy 19 seconds behind him. Davies is only 7 seconds behind Sheriff Doofy. 3.5 seconds separating JP and 1010's Miss Davies, 30 seconds to ATB. So we have started to see the gaps in the field there. If it wasn't for Supra having to, we got a red flag here in front of our race, or a yellow flag here in front of our race leader, and I believe that was Sheriff Doofy stricken right there in the Ferrari up ahead of the seat. 1010's Miss Davies has just navigated around there and picked up that position from 1010's Sheriff Doofy there as well. So this driver's still struggling a little bit here on the racetrack, but this is a very technical, tough racetrack. Even in the best of conditions, a lot of racers don't favor this racetrack. They'd rather not be here if they don't have to be. Throw in this dynamic weather and some wet conditions into these racers with some MR cars, and we have amped up the difficulty factor on the Suzuka race tenfold. So now, regardless of how the racers feel about how the race went today, they were in some extreme conditions here today, and all 9 racers look like they're going to finish this race and take that checkered flag. So there is something to be said about that as well. And we're side by side here with 1010's and Sheriff Doofy, and I think there was just a small amount of contact there between the two drivers, and Miss Devious is going for a ride there as they battled side to side. I believe Sheriff is just slowing up here to allow Miss Devious to close back in here, and I think he's probably looking at redressing the position here. Again, you should never drive through ghosting cars. I think there's something in the rule book about that as well, and that actually caused the car to go off the track right there. So you're not don't drive through ghosting race cars, ladies and gentlemen. You never know when that car is going to unghost, and that typically usually creates one of the two cars to go off track due to it. So going through ghosted cars is definitely not an ideal situation. And we actually have a provision in the rulebook that talks about ghosted cars as well. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. That may very well end up in the steward's office. Again, it really pays to know the rulebook. You'd be surprised what's covered in our OLR. Like I said, it's a highly extensive rulebook, and believe it or not, we cover ghosted cars in our regulations. Again, because of situations we've run into in the past, right? So there is a statement about ghosted cars within our rulebook. So I'm not saying that anybody's in violation there, but the one thing I do know for sure, for certain, I'm going and crushing myself on this particular part of the rule is you do not go through ghosted race cars for that reason, right? So we'll see what happens there, but it did definitely create an incident on the racetrack. Most likely will end up in our steward's office here at the end of the week, but that's the way she goes. That's why we have stewards. That's why they're there, right? They're there to keep the balance, to keep things in the racing, the flow of the racing pool conflict. So we got Super there, looks like going around GP in a blue flag situation there. But it is Dylan, 3.7 seconds up the road ahead of Superboy here. Boy, big strategies being played out here. And I don't know if that one's going to work out for Dylan or not here. We got Jason in third place. We got Roses here in fourth position as well. So this battle really is coming down between Dylan and Supra here as we've got final lap of these two races coming around here. So we'll be 28 laps for our racing field here today. And I gotta say, even with the condition, that is a pretty good race pace here around the racetrack. Okay, so Supra is closing in here. This is going to get very interesting. Let's just go through our field real quick here and see where everybody's at. So we do have a battle here between Sheriff and ATV brewing as well, but we're going to keep our eyes on this battle right here between Supra and Dylan. It's not really a whole lot of contest there right now, and when you look at the tire difference between the two cars, Dylan is straight up in survival mode at this point here. It was a good attempt at trying to just run those intermediate tires to the end of the race, maybe hoping for a little bit more rain at the racetrack at some point here near the end, just to stabilize those tires a little bit. But unfortunately, there he is living on a prayer. I guess is a good way to put it here right now as far as the depth of his tires goes. That might even potentially allow Jason to chunk out that gap. I mean, 56 seconds is a lot to catch up on potentially, but all it takes is one moment there from Dylan to make the mistake, and that puts Jason higher up on the podium here today. So, crazy race. I mean, it wasn't just an absolute crazy race. This is one of those races where, as a racer, you just kind of got to throw your hands up in the air and go, what in the hell was that? That was super unpredictable. And they just make do with the best that they got, so. Alright, there's this guy messaging us here right now in the background. I'll get with him here in a few minutes' time. As far as I know, a little bit. I couldn't tell you. I haven't hooked the stream up to the computer yet. I really it's all YouTube stuff now. I'm on the capture card and things. I'm just getting it set up now. Alright, so Doug Burrow does officially finish in 5th place here, so he is our first racer finished here, which means that puts him, 27 laps, and the rest of the field on 28 laps ahead, so top 4. It's going to be a race win here from Superboy as he comes across in 1st place. Dylan here is hanging on for his life here, as both his front tires are completely dead. He's basically riding on the rims at this point. The car probably shouldn't even be moving, but somehow he's going to get that thing home. And in 2nd place there, it looks like JP is going to come across there in 6th position, right in behind Dylan there as well. So good job, JP. 10 times most devious is going to finish up in 7th position here. And you want to talk about a roller coaster of a race? Round 6 of Suzuka was a roller coaster of a race for the whole field. JP was such a fun one, man. That's too bad. It is going to be a 3rd place finish here for 10 tenths Jason as well, jumping into that Ferrari, coming out with the podium finish here. And I mean, you know, sometimes timing is everything. Jason was in the right place at the right time when that heavy rain hit. He was in an opportunity to immediately jump into pit lane, get onto the wet tire, and boy, did that pay dividends for him here today. Roses coming across, the last driver take that checkered flag here today in 4th position. Ooh-wee. GG's to all the racers. That was some spicy racing right there. So we are going to go ahead and hit some podium interviews here this week as well for our top 3. Just a very subtle reminder to the racers that in the podium interviews it needs to be kept family friendly, please. I'm not saying that we've had that problem this season, but I do just like to throw that reminder out to the racers. Well, that was an exciting race, guys. That was an exciting race. So congratulations again to Supra, Dylan, and Jay said here for their top 3 finishes here this weekend. Fastest lap, however, does belong to R.A. Roses, and that is going to be very vital. 2 bonus points here for Roses as well in the championship, as he's missed a couple of rounds this season here too, so he definitely needs to start building up those bonus points to the absolute best that he can. So with that being said, let's head over to the podium interviews and go jump into the chat and talk with our racers. Bear with, this will take a moment. We're going to have to close that in order to open that. Cheers, JP. Cheers, Doug. Feel I should have used wets at some points. It's just pouring on the racetrack again. They just literally just finished a race before it started downpouring. Alright, just bear with me, chat. We're just loading up the Discord server here. We're gonna go jump in and talk with 2 of our 3 drivers here. We should see Jay set in. Hopefully we've got the audio issues sorted out in this chat. My audio is working, so that's always great. That's a start, chat. Alright, so we're just gonna give a few moments here for Jay. See if he's gonna come into our interviews here. What a crazy race. It was such a crazy race here this week. What do we got going on here? We're not going to repeat that comment live on the stream. That one's a little not PG related. All right. Well, while we see if Jay's going to pop in here, we will go ahead and talk with Dylan. Dylan, again, is a returning racer here this championship season at GT45 Gaming, and he is our current 2-time defending champion here, actually, at GT45 Gaming. He has won the last 2 current championships that have been ran here at GT45 Gaming. So, again, another strong finish here coming from Dylan 019 in the Minecraft McLaren. That's been the staple car here for him this season, and it did very well for him here at Suzuka today. A big bold strategy there. He tried to just make those intermediate tires last to the end of the race, maybe hoping for a small amount more rain to come down before the end of the race just to help that tire life out, and unfortunately it didn't quite work out for him, and it cost him the overall win here today. But still a great strategy in an absolutely chaotic race. And I mean, talk us through the day today. It was not an easy one out there. It was fairly unpredictable conditions out there. I mean, just talk us through how the race went for you today and how you're feeling now, overall finishing second place here.
Yeah, I mean, these wet weather races, you never know what's going to happen. So, everyone just kind of comes in without any kind of real strategy in mind and just, play it by ear. Read the weather radar and listen to the tires and just, go by your feel. I'd say I had a couple bold strategies today with the first pit, going out on intermediates for maybe 2 laps, then immediately going right back to the mediums. And then later in that stint, or at the end of that stint, maybe going 1 lap too long on the mediums when the rain started to come down. But that's the kind of the turning point in the race there is as I was in the pits, I heard Supra come flying by and I was like, oh, he's already on intermediates. Uh-oh. But fortunately, I was close enough to give us a nice fight in that last stint. And then towards the end, I was actually thinking, I was considering boxing for softs while I was still behind Supra, but I made the wrong decision there, I guess. I got the pass done on track, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to stay here. If he goes in, I'm going to go to the end. It didn't quite work out for me, but it was a fun race either way.
Fun race for some, and probably not exactly the choice of words for others, perhaps here today. But I mean, absolutely just chaotic. I mean, this race was designed to be a fairly wet race for the large majority of the race, and it actually kind of turned out to be the exact opposite here for us. It gave you guys that really good shower right in the mid part of the race, and it kept the track quite, sketchy for a good solid 10-15 minutes there. So I mean, I guess what was the hardest part about the race here today? Was it deciding what tires to take, what decision to make out there, or was it just trying to survive? I mean, the chaos of dynamic weather in GT7.
For me, it's usually watching all the different strategies change in the middle of the race, where this racer does this, goes for those tires, and then this racer does that and goes for a different tire. Someone goes a lap early, someone goes a lap late. And in the middle of trying to navigate a wet track on dry tires, you're thinking about how you're going to adjust your strategy on the fly. At Suzuka, nonetheless. So, it's difficult to be out there and be thinking of all those things without, a team behind you to track all that information and make those decisions for you. But, that's one of our responsibilities in GT7. We have to do it all. We have to be the racer, the engineer, the weatherman, everything. So it's tough to do on the racetrack on the fly, but yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, well done by you, and well done by Super, and well done by our third place finisher too. He had a tough start to the race. He fell a little bit behind the pack, and that actually worked out for our third place finisher, 1010's J set this week, because when that big heavy rain started, he was exactly positioned to dive immediately into pit lane and just get onto that wet tire and take advantage of that. Track positioning essentially, and within a couple of laps, he was sitting on podium position there. So I mean, it's that easy to see how quickly the race could change based off the decisions that the teams and the drivers are making. In this case, it's just the drivers. Not too many of these drivers, I think, have spotters in behind them during a 1 hour race, but you never know, I suppose, now as, of course, Gran Turismo starts to kind of turn into more of a team dynamic. But tough decisions and tough racing out there. I mean, I tip my hat off to all 9 of our racers on grid here today. Those were tough conditions. Some of these racers opted not to ever even take a wet tire here in the race today, which is just absolute insanity in my opinion, and survived the race. So kudos to them. But I mean, the racers that made the big decisions, that took the big chances, seem to be rewarded here today, and a little bit of luck in the case for a third place finisher, just being in the right place at the right time and making the right decision. Right, that's all what racing really is about. It's 50% skill, for 30% the team behind you that's setting the car up, and probably 10% luck and situational awareness, right? So great race for you here today. And I mean, you and Super had a great battle all race long too. So I mean, anything you want to touch on there, and I guess any final words and shout outs you want to send out there?
Yeah, just big congrats to Supra. I think this is his first win of the season in the pro division, at least. It's not just one great race with him. It's been every race of this season, and it's been a ton of fun racing with him. And big congrats, Supra, on your win today.
Absolutely. Well said here by Dylan0119, and he's definitely doing a good job at moving his way up into those overall championship standings. And I guess the bigger question is here, when is it going to see those pros knock that pro-am off that overall championship standings here too as well this season, which is, again, the point system proving to add an extra dynamic into this championship season, as it is currently a pro-am leading coming into round number 6 here in the overall championship through all the racers as well. It would be RA's Oscar currently leading the overall championship here. So, with that being said, I guess, is that on your mind a little bit? I mean, all divisions are chasing a trophy here for the winner of the championship season in a respective division, but, there's a bigger prize at the end of the season. There's that overall champion, like coveted, I am better than all of you in all the divisions this season. I mean, is that on your mind as you start to progress towards the end of the season, or is it just business as usual, one race at a time?
Yeah, it's business as usual for me. I'm looking at the racetrack more than the standings. But I think, to speak on that, I would expect that Oscar might be knocked off sometime soon, considering that the pro and or the pro am and the am lobbies are being combined. Some weeks. I'm not sure who's been winning most of those races in either of those lobbies, but it's just a way to shake up the season, and throw some more challengers in the mix.
Absolutely, and it's interesting. We'll get the standings up for the viewers here over the next couple of rounds to get the viewers to take a look at what's going on here in those championship standings as well. It's quite crazy what's happening, and we have not factored in drop rounds yet. We will do that once we come to a foregone conclusion on how we're going to handle those drop rounds and the imbalance of points from one round to the other. So, but nonetheless, congratulations on a great second place finish and securing again a good load of points for yourself here heading into Dragon Trail Gardens next week, ladies and gentlemen. So, Dylan 0119 in the Minecraft McLaren 650S for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and the Bloomstrom family. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to take a quick peek in the comms chat here. We do not see a 10-10 J set, so we are going to go ahead and talk with our overall race winner here today. It is Team Rad Superboy, and I mean, great pace out there today. You got a great race start. The Ferrari proving to launch extremely well off of these grid starts with false start checks here this season. So it does definitely pay dividends for the drivers who are in the Ferrari. They get that good early race launch. It does gain them early race positions, but the weather was absolutely just upside down crazy here today, and you found yourself really in a deadlock battle with Dylan for the majority of the race. Kind of once the drivers' strategies settled themselves out. Talk us through how it was out there today, and how you feel after a hard-fought race win here. All right, we cannot hear Supra, so either he is not there currently, or he's just having an audio issue. So sometimes in the Discord server, when you set up new audio channels, as racers enter into the audio channels, they have to go tweak their audio settings. It's annoying, but it's an unfortunate process that we got to deal with Discord. So we'll just give him a couple of minutes to check over everything and see if that's the case, and then we'll have a chat with him if he can get it working. We normally use Discord server for this type of thing, but we had channels in the Discord server that were designed for it much better. We see the mute come off. There we go. There we go. Now we got him.
That's why.
All right, so, a hard-fought battle for you here today. You and Dylan were pretty much in a race-long deadlock battle as your, pit stop strategies kind of worked out to play, and you kind of tried to read the weather and make those decisions on the fly. Really the race came down between you and Dylan for those top two positions, and really good hard-fought battle between the two of you. So, I mean, talk to us about how the race in general was, and, how you feeling after a hard-fought win here today.
Yeah, as a respect for Dylan for keeping me in check. But I was waiting for him to pull the trigger for softs, and but for the entire race, it was just all ups and downs. And I thought it really screwed the strategy by going a bit too late for the first rain stint. I went in one lap too late, and I ended up smashing into the Casio triangle barriers. And when the second set of rain, I thought, I might pit a bit too early. No, in fact, I pitted just at the right time. Everyone started spinning all over the shop, and it was a mess, to say the least. And I feel sorry for Doug for not pitting in on the correct time. He could have been up there with us a lot. But yeah, there's the Ferrari again. It's just really got launching, and yeah, I just got the strategy, the wet strategy to the T, and especially going on to the sauce for the final stint. I just had to go with it. I had to go with it. I knew his tires were going to go at any moment.
Absolutely, and I mean, decisions can make or break races for drivers at times, and Dylan made a big call there to decide that what, I think I got enough gap, I think I can hold the charge off from the soft tire, and he gave it he gave it a very very valiant effort, but at the end of the day, the soft tire was just a little bit stronger in that situation, and I guess it would have been hard to say if he would have taken that pit stop and took the soft tire strategy. You guys might have been deadlocked in that race battle right down to the checkered flag again, but nonetheless, decisions are made, and then the race finishes the way the race finishes, and Mother Nature played a very vital part in how this race played factor here today for our pro division. So I can't speak on behalf of what the pro-ams and the ams had to deal with as far as the weather went here today, but it was definitely an up and down race here for our pros. So I mean, Dylan touched on it. In these shorter distance races, unlike long distance races, you don't have a team behind you spotting and relaying that pertinent information, watching the weather radar for you to help you make those informed decisions. So how much harder is it when you're just running by yourself and kind of doing your thing in these 1 hour races, say, as opposed to running a 24-hour endurance race, which you have experience with this season as well? I mean, what's the difference between the two for you, and as far as that decision making goes on track, as the situations happen in front of you?
Just having a team behind me to share for the strategies, that would make things a little bit easier. But when I'm on, I always try to calculate when I need to pit in for wet intermediate tires, when I go back onto the slicks, so on so forth, how much fuel I had to put in. That's why I usually do that all the time, especially in any of the races, really. So like I says, it's just like I just made the right strategy call. I thought I messed it up, but got it to work in the end.
Absolutely, and I mean, at the end of the day, round 6 winner is a Superboy from Team Rad here in that 458 Ferrari Italia. So, I guess any final remarks on your race here today, and any shout-outs you'd like to throw out there to the viewers watching at home?
As a shout out to everyone, really, and this is the 458, and they're done its job.
Absolutely, that it most certainly did. And Ferrari has been proven to be a very strong competitive car in the GT3 class here, currently in GT7. But with that being said, it's not a car for the weak of heart or the faint of heart. You need to know how to drive it. You need to learn how to drive it, because out of all the GT3 cars, and especially the mid-engine cars, Ferrari is by far on the tip of the scale of difficulty factor to keep underneath of you during tire wear conditions and changing weather conditions. So really big congratulations to yourself for winning the race in that car, and to the other couple drivers that tackled the Ferrari. We also had J-Set in the Ferrari finish on the podium this weekend as well in that car. So, it is proving to be a very competitive car, but it is a very difficult car to drive, and it's a very difficult car to manage the tires in as well. But, a great job here from Superboy and Team Rad here this weekend in the Pro Split, round number 6. And, thank you and congratulations on a race win here on behalf of the St. Jude's Childrens Research Hospital and the Bloomstrom family. Really appreciate you being here.
It's a pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that being said, great interviews here by our guys. 1010's J-Set, he's a great racer. He comes from 1010 Sim Racing, who I'm a part co-owner of with J-Set, and 1010's Misdevious. And, the race really didn't start off well for J-Set. He made a couple of mistakes. He had a couple of moments on the racetrack that cost him some time on the racetrack. But boy, oh boy, we always say it time and time again in these broadcasts. Sometimes it's all about timing. And, he was in a position on the racetrack when that heavy rain hit to immediately dive into pit lane and just get off those tires and get onto those wet tires. And that turned out to be a massive, massive decision for 1010's J-Set here today, and absolutely escalated him up into a podium position finish here. So, it's just a prime example of you can never give up. J-Set is a driver who doesn't give up. He's never given up in the entirety of the time that I've known him at 1010 Sim Racing and in his sim racing career, part of this community. The guy just gives it no matter what's going on. And today he was rewarded for that effort and that hard work and that no give up attitude with the podium finish. So to our racers out there, to our viewers out there, and sim racers on other platforms out there, never ever give up. You don't know what's going to happen in 10 seconds up the road from you. And in this case, a great call and being in the right place at the right time absolutely paid dividends for 1010's J-Set and took him from 36 seconds in last place to third place in a matter of 2 laps. So anything can happen in racing. Never give up. Always push forward. And take that checkered flag, because it means so much more at the end of the day that you put in 110% effort even with a bad result than just giving up and not trying to improve the result, because it's racing. You never know what's going to happen. And in today's case, it was upside down. You can't really say what's going to happen kind of race, and it's going to be tough decision making all day long on a tough racetrack. Some were rewarded for it, and some paid the price for it here this weekend. But congratulations to all of our pros here this weekend. They all crossed that start-finish line at the end of the race, and that's what matters the most here at GT45 Gaming. And on behalf of the St. Jude's Childrens Research Hospital Foundation and the Bloomstrom family, thank you, racers, for another great week of racing here from GT45 Gaming and the Vegas Cup Series. Remember, everybody, you all matter. If you're struggling, please reach out. Somebody's always there willing to listen and loan a helping hand or give a few bits of advice to try and help you get through whatever it is you're going through. You're not alone. This community is family, and if you're in this community, you are family. So please reach out. Don't be alone. Don't struggle alone. It's okay to not be okay. Stay winning, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising. No, just you watch. I'm stepping into fate. There is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me. This is how legends are made. Cranking up on the throttle, victory is mine. Show you the harder the battle, harder I fight. I've come too far to quit. Step back, I'm going in. I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how legends are made. Like iron from the fire, getting strong.